Is a cruise on board Royal Caribbean worth skipping a Disney cruise? Well, we tested it out, and we're going to give you all the deets for this popular alternative cruise line today here on DFV Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Today's video is going to be way different from our usual content. Nope, we're not at Disney. We're not even at Universal. Instead, we're sailing away with the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line to answer your biggest cruising questions. We're going to make some Disney cruise comparisons because we get a lot of questions from you guys about this particular cruise line, and we're going to show you the pros and cons for cruising outside the Disney sphere of influence. So what are some of the main differences between Royal and Disney? First, here are a few things you need to know about Royal specifically. Royal Caribbean is one of the largest cruise lines out there. It's got 30 different ships sailing out of the US alone. Royal is known for its innovation and emphasis on the wow factor, which is why these ships are so incredibly massive. With each new ship that RC launches, the offerings keep getting more substantial. Cruise destinations with Royal include options within the Caribbean, Alaska, Europe, North America, Asia, Australia, and the South Pacific. When it comes to cruise pricing, it all depends on the ship, the stateroom, the time of year, the number of days you're out at sea, and the destination. Typically speaking, Royal Caribbean tends to be more affordable than a Disney cruise, but still more expensive than, say, a Carnival cruise. Here's a little price comparison for you. We checked on 4-night cruises heading out of Port Canaveral around October 2025 with an imaginary family of 4, 2 adults, 2 kids, who'll be booking a stateroom with a balcony. On Carnival, a 4-night cruise on board the Carnival Freedom with stops at Half Moon Cay and Carnival's new private island destination, Celebration Cay, would cost this hypothetical family $1,936. Meanwhile, a 4-night cruise on board the Disney Wish with stops in Nassau and Castaway Cay would cost this family $5,039. Finally, on Royal Caribbean, a 4-night cruise on Utopia of the Seas with stops at Nassau and CocoCay would cost $2,807. So smack dab in the middle of the other 2 cruise lines. One of the ways the Royal Caribbean sets themselves apart from the rest of the competition is their wild assortment of activities, which pack a lot of interesting recreation on board that you're more than likely not going to find across other cruises, Disney included. Entertainment could feature escape rooms, mini golf, surf simulators, zip lining, ice skating, bumper cars, carousels, and high thrill activities. Basically, if you want your cruise to feel a little bit like it has an onboard amusement park or a mall, Royal Caribbean might fit the bill. There's always the really high possibility that these extra entertainment offerings will also cost you extra. However, Royal Caribbean still has a lot of all-inclusive stuff. This includes traveling to those ports like Royal's CocoCay private island, more on that later, many of your meals, or all of your meals depending on what you're after, and entertainment options like those unique variety shows and musicals. Oh, and all-you-can-eat ice cream. Can't forget about that. Royal also has a reputation for being more of a weekend party ship. While it's still family-friendly and maybe a better fit for families with older kids and teens, some sections of the ship can feel more high energy, but I promise, if you want to avoid the massive crowds on a Royal Caribbean cruise, there's still plenty of space on board the Royal cruises for you to spread out and find some pockets of peace. In general, Royal Caribbean also tends to offer more 18 and over experiences on board their ships. Now, Disney has several adults-only offerings, like their spas and adults-only pools and fancy dining, but Royal Caribbean has much more of a nightlife scene. When midnight rolls around, you're still going to be seeing a steady stream of people flowing in and out of those bars and keeping the party going. Fortunately, Royal Caribbean does offer daycare services for babies and toddlers at an additional fee, and the Adventure Ocean Kids Clubs and Teen Lounges, which is included in the cost of your cruise, unless you're dropping off kids for the late-night party zone between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Then it's going to cost you $10 per hour per child. And that leads me to one key point I want to make before we get any deeper into today's video. Royal Caribbean does a lot of things right, but they don't have the Disney branding and charm backing them up. While Disney is a lot more focused on character and storytelling, Royal Caribbean is more about the party vibes, the jaw-dropping entertainment, and huge ship setup. Then again, the lack of in-your-face Disney characters might honestly be a reason why you book RC instead of DCL. Now, just to give you a heads up, when you board a Royal Caribbean ship, you're not going to get all the fanfare that you'll receive when you step onto a Disney ship. But that doesn't mean you're not going to be wowed when you walk inside one of these ships for the first time, especially if you're boarding one of those newer ones. Okay, how is Embarkation Day? Easy? Stressful? No matter where your ship is embarking from, the process tends to be pretty straightforward. You're going to walk through security, provide those required travel documents, which you can find on the Royal Caribbean website, and then enter the terminal from there. This is kind of a theme of this video, but these ships are ginormous. The first time we boarded Utopia of the Seas, one of Royal Caribbean's newest ships, the gangplank led us into the middle of the Royal Promenade, where we immediately were surrounded by music and bars and shopping and entertainment, the whole 9 yards. Now, before the ship takes off, you're required to do a muster drill, which is one of those basic safety spiels that you're required to attend. For Royal Caribbean, there's no set time for these muster drills other than a deadline before sail away. Now, we've got some extra embarkation tips for you. The time you arrive to check in for your sailing at your chosen port is something you'll need to choose in advance of your arrival. You can complete this fairly easily through the app 45 days prior to sailing. That being said, Royal Caribbean's loyalty group for past sailings, called the Crown and Anchor Society, has tiered groups which allows its travelers the option to choose earlier arrival times, which isn't too different from Disney's Castaway Club. Royal Caribbean's dining scene has several restaurants that you'll find throughout the ships that you can dip into during the day to grab a bite to eat. And we'd probably put that all-inclusive dining on par with chain restaurants we've got back home, like Carrabba's or Outback Steakhouse, which, hey, love me a meal at Outback, so I'm not complaining. But what Royal Caribbean focuses more on inside their ships are the diverse specialty restaurants and celebrity concepts. So if you want the real good stuff, you're gonna have to pay extra for that. Royal Caribbean does offer 2 seatings in the main dining area, and they also offer My Time Dining, which allows you to make reservations for what time you want to dine on a daily basis, rather than being locked into too early or too late. That being said, if you're more of a food lover or connoisseur, the premium dining on board Royal Caribbean tends to be what these ships focus on the most. Specialty restaurants that are available on every RC ship include the Chops Grill Steakhouse and Giovanni's Italian Kitchen. The steaks at Chops Grill are on par with higher-end steakhouses that you'll find on land. You can order multiple shareable sides for the table, but do not miss the Gruyere cheese tater tots that come with a horseradish creme fraiche sauce. Seriously divine. Meanwhile, at Giovanni's, all your Italian faves are probably available here. And yes, this restaurant is kid-friendly too. We particularly enjoyed the lasagna during our last visit, which came baked in a mini stoneware dish, so you get all those crispy corners to yourself. And the tiramisu was the best dessert you're probably going to find ship-wide. Which, to be fair, RC doesn't set the bar very high. If there's one thing we weren't really impressed with on our last visit aboard Utopia of the Seas, it was dessert. More often than not, it felt like all the desserts were straight out of a supermarket bakery. But you can always make up for that with all the free soft serve, I guess. Here's an extra dining tip. If you show up to main dining for dinner without a reservation time at all, even with My Time selected, you'll be treated as a walk-up and will be given a return time that might be later than you were hoping or wanting. So save yourself the extra hassle, and when you've got a ballpark idea of when you'll need to head to dinner, even if it's days or hours in advance, make sure you've reserved that preference in the app, or you could find yourself hungry and having to wait even longer than expected. Is the drink package worth it? Well, as a soda goblin, my default answer to this is yes, always. But let's actually get into the details of what RC's drink package looks like. With the purchase of a drink package, you'll receive an insulated tumbler, which you can use for the Coke Freestyle machines that are stationed throughout the ships. Some of the older ships don't have Coke Freestyle machines yet, but you'll still get the tumbler and can order sodas at any bar or restaurant. The Freestyle machines are self-serve, but you can only use them if you have a Royal Caribbean issued tumbler with an RFID chip reader in the bottom of it. So if you don't have one of these tumblers and you don't have a drink package, you'll have to purchase sodas at the bars or at the restaurants separately. Note, there aren't any Coke Freestyle machines on CocoCay. So if you're using the drink package on CocoCay, a crew member behind the bar at the restaurant you're at will ask for your cruise card before handing over your included soda. And if you don't have a drink package, they'll just charge you for a soda here per usual, plain and simple. The deluxe beverage package is not cheap. This works out to be about $100 per night of your cruise. But if you do choose this package, you'll be able to pick up sodas, specialty coffees, not including the Starbucks branded options, and cocktails, wines, and beers too. And yes, this goes for the drinks available on CocoCay as well. Depending on what types of drinks you're planning on ordering, as well as how often you're planning on ordering them, these packages can actually save you money in the long run. To break it down for you further, sodas and specialty coffees are $4 to $6 on the ship. Cocktails are priced between $14 and $18, wines are about $11 to $20, and beers are around $7 to $12. So you do the math. If you like having the freedom of trying a cocktail whenever you want to, the drink package might be worth the investment. But if you're not really big on boozy beverages and you know for a fact you won't be drinking $100 worth of specialty drinks every day, then you may want to skip the extra expense and just go the out-of-pocket route for all the Diet Cokes you want alongside your meals. Or better yet, you could choose the classic soda package instead for just soda refills only, which is around $10 per person per night and serves as a much better deal for all my fellow soda goblins out there who'd rather pay for all their fizzy beverages up front rather than pay $4 to $6 per soda out of pocket all trip long. So what are the staterooms like? An average inside cabin, which will be your most affordable option on board one of the Royal Caribbean ships, typically measures around 180 square feet, not including the balcony. Interior rooms can get up to 340 square feet. We've also seen even smaller rooms on select Royal Caribbean ships that have a two-person capacity that'll only get up to 114 square feet. On the other hand, you can always look into Royal Caribbean's ultra-spacious ocean view rooms. Or you can try to book two connecting inside rooms, or you can even splurge on one of the various suite options that, if you really want to get bougie with it, can measure up to a whopping 2,766 square feet. That's bigger than a lot of our houses. Another unique to Royal Caribbean feature is that several inside room options can also come with an extra perk. A balcony. Usually you're not going to find balconies associated with a cruise ship's inside cabin, but since many of Royal Caribbean's inside rooms overlook the central promenade area, you can book a balcony view and check out all the entertainment going on down below from the comfort of your stateroom. If you want to save a little money, you can choose the guaranteed stateroom option, which allows Royal Caribbean to choose your assigned stateroom for you once everyone else has had their chance to book the rooms of their preference. But don't worry, the whole point about it being guaranteed is that you're guaranteed the level room that you're paying for. If you prefer to select your own room, understandable, but which stateroom should you choose? Well, midship cabins are good for those more prone to seasickness since you can't feel the movement as much when you're in the center of it all. And according to the Royal Caribbean website, if you want to have at least 2 bathrooms, book one of the family suites. Rooms in the suites category are also the only ones that generally come with mid-room privacy curtains. Okay, I know what some of you might be thinking. Inside staterooms with balconies overlooking the promenade, as in the promenade where the nightlife rages on way past midnight, is the noise going to be an issue here? Well, possibly. During our recent trip on board the Utopia of the Seas, we noticed that throughout the day, the noise of the promenade filters up and into that inside balcony room, which we were concerned about at first. But even though the nightlife scene is alive and well past midnight, general noise levels tend to die down quite a bit by 11 p.m., and it stays relatively quiet until around 7:30 or 8 a.m. That being said, if you have kids who need to take a nap in the afternoon to keep the crankies at bay, or, you need to take a nap in the afternoon, you might be better off booking a regular inside stateroom with no balcony option or an ocean view room instead. Royal Caribbean's Perfect Day Island at CocoCay has been widely considered as one of, if not the, best of the cruise line's private islands. But do we here at DFB agree with that sentiment? Honestly, this place is really cool. Perfect Day Island is bigger than what you'll experience at Disney's Castaway Cay or Disney's Lookout Cay, but fortunately, there are multiple tram stops to help you get around. When it comes to beach lounging, you'll find plenty of beach chairs and umbrellas for everyone, so no need to try and scramble for a spot. There are also several upgrades available for an additional fee, like overwater bungalows, day beds with shade, and family cabanas. Speaking of upgrades, while you can have a full day just swimming and hanging out at one of the community beaches for no extra cost, there are several other paid areas on Perfect Day Island, including a full-on water park with huge slides and zip lines. It's recommended that you book cabanas as well as the swimming with the pigs, yes, that's a thing, and jet ski excursions well before your cruise sets sail, considering that these are the extras that tend to sell out the fastest. While cruise excursion reservations can vary, it's a good idea to start checking on their availability starting 6 months before your trip. There are also 2 beach areas on the island that cost extra if you're looking for an even more private tropical experience. One of those beaches is an adults-only area, and unfortunately, adults-only beach access at Perfect Day Island is pretty steep, priced at $94 per day. Now, things like the Cove Beach Club, a premium area of the island that requires a separate fee and includes an upscale restaurant serving filet and lobster, do go on sale on Royal Caribbean's website for as much as 50% off before your cruise. If you wait till you're on the ship, you'll definitely pay full price. If you use a Small World Vacations travel agent to book your cruise, you can tell them what you're interested in and they'll be able to monitor the sales that Royal Caribbean runs to get you the best deals. Also, noting here that the beach club has restrooms in closer proximity than most other sections of the island. So if you or one of your companions need quick access to a restroom, it might be worth booking your day there. Same with folks with mobility concerns. Now, you can still absolutely have a great day at CocoCay without spending anything extra. There are plenty of free loungers at the beaches and pool, and the food on the island is included with your cruise. Speaking of CocoCay food, it's head and shoulders above Disney's all-inclusive island offerings. You're going to find fresh salads, taco bars, mozzarella sticks, burgers that actually taste grilled and not like thawed-out hockey pucks. You get the picture. Royal Caribbean also has a selection of bars across the island where you can get a boozy tropical drink made fresh on the spot at an extra cost. At the restaurants, there are drink stations set up with the free drinks like juices and water, but you do have to go to the bar area to get a soda. To get on and off Perfect Day Island, you will need your stateroom key card handy, so don't forget to bring that along with you on your beach day. One last note about Perfect Day Island before we move on. There's a high chance that your ship won't be the only Royal Caribbean ship docked at the island that day. But don't stress over that. Like I mentioned before, the island is huge and you'll have plenty of space to spread out without feeling like this place is overly crowded, regardless of how many ships are there. There's quite a lengthy pier leading from the ship and up to the island itself. Actually, it's a lengthy walk to several places around the island, what with it being so huge. But Royal Caribbean has trams that run every 15 minutes that you can use to help you get around. Tram stations are located at the Thrill Water Park, South Beach, Coco Beach Club, Oasis Lagoon, Chill Island, and the Up, Up, and Away Balloon. So the Solarium is another adults-only area that gives those who are 18 plus the chance to escape the upbeat party scene for a little R&R time. This place is really something special. It's got swimming pools, whirlpool spas, lounge areas, and depending on what ship you're on, maybe even a cascading lagoon. The Solarium is also surrounded by windows, meaning you've also got a great view of the ocean. The Solarium also has a separate bar, and on some ships it'll have an attached bistro as well that'll offer a less crowded lunch buffet option on your days out at sea. And when I say the atmosphere is a completely different vibe from the rest of the ship, I mean it. Royal Caribbean loves to pump up the party, but the Solarium takes things down a few decibels. With serene muted colors, wood tones, and lo-fi music that you're not going to see or hear anywhere else on the ship. The Solarium is free for guests to use as long as they're 18 plus, of course. Now, the short answer to are the shows worth watching question? 1000% yes, especially considering the live entertainment is all included with your stateroom price. While only 6 of Royal Caribbean's ships feature Broadway or West End musicals on every sailing, all of the Royal Caribbean cruises offer up a unique variety of live entertainment that could range from water-based high dive and acrobatics to music and dance shows to ice skating performances, all within a high-tech venue. Some shows might require or recommend reservations, but even if you forget to make reservations in time, and it looks like one of those performances has booked up solid, show up to the venue anyway, because there's a good chance there'll still be seats available due to a handful of no-shows. In our personal experience, we've felt that the Royal Caribbean shows we've seen are something that you could buy a ticket for in Vegas and leave thinking that it was worth it. Between lasers, full-on ice rinks, tight ropes, drones, and the occasional cross-dressing for some of those 18-plus offerings, these performances will make you think, oh, that was the most fun moment of the night. And then they'll keep topping themselves over and over and over again. Safe to say, Royal Caribbean gets a good old DFB seal of approval, but I want to know what you think the best cruise line out there is right now, because we want to cruise on a bunch of other lines and get you the details. Let me know in the comments so that others can get a little help hand planning their future cruises, and don't forget to check out some of our other DFB cruise videos, including our ultimate guide to Disney Cruise Line. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.